Hey, everybody. What's going on? How's everybody doing tonight? I hope you all got out to enjoy some of the weather earlier today, because the weather later today was, well, we'll say less than stellar. But let's see who all is in the house tonight. Amy Hogshead had brats for dinner tonight. Nice. Teresa Bitters had homemade pizza. Very nice. Hi, Daryl. Hi, Dave Jessen. Hi, Sherry. Angie Myers in the house. Got Marge and Doug. See, Eric was here. Saw Eric today. Passed him out on the bike path with Laura and his crew. Yeah, it was good to see you today. So the faces and names all go together. What's going on, Parker? Hi, Nikki. Hey, Bill Har. Jess Mack is watching again tonight. She's still figuring out her phone upgrade from a flip phone. Wow, that's quite a step up. Hi, Jess. I hope you're doing well with that. Hey, Suze. Audrey Sutton is in the house. We got Trina and the Childs here. Let's see, Tim McCandy also saw them on the bike path today, and they did a little magnet fishing with us. So cool. Caught some really old square nails from down around where they're doing the mill down there. Caught a bunch of screws and nails and different things down there. So it was kind of fun. So yeah. All right. Hey, Bill Martin. So yeah, let me turn off my phone so it don't start bothering me tonight. Okay. Did everybody get an email from me about 10 minutes ago? Hey, Beth and Carl, welcome. Did everybody get an email from me about 10 minutes ago? I forgot to include a piece in the email I sent out. Most of you here should have gotten a text about it too. About coming by tomorrow after church if you want. I'm just gonna be here, and man, I'm looking really shaggy. Guys, I hope you guys appreciate what I have to go through to do this. I have to stand here and look at myself, look at my own face, talk for an hour, and this is an odd thing. But anyways, hey, Scott and Jan, welcome. You guys, anyways, I'll be here, and all the instructions are in there. You don't need me to go over it now. So, let's do a little housekeeping while we're waiting for the last few people to log in. First of all, if you guys don't let me get off on a tangent too far, thank you, Sherry. If you guys don't let me get off on a tangent too far tonight, and we have time left, we may have just a little tiny preview of Bill. I don't know about that, Bill. I'm not sure that's true. Actually, we're gonna have a little preview of tomorrow morning. Got some things happening with church, and a little conversation about some stuff going on. So we'll have that at the end, as long as you guys don't let me get too far off of the topic tonight. And thank you, Teresa. And boy, I can't wait for Great Clips to open back up, because I can't hardly deal with this no more. So, all right, good. So here's my plan. And y'all know how well plans go, right? We're going to do Joseph tonight. My plan is to do, because we're going to finish Joseph getting reunited with his family, that kind of stuff. We might do a few closing things tomorrow. I do this every day, talk to a monitor. Really, Janet? I'm sorry. Wow, this is, yeah. So, anyways, we'll do some stuff tomorrow. I don't feel like going through all the rest of this word by word like we have been, because most of the meat of the story we're going to get through tonight. So we'll hit up a few things tomorrow and do that. So my plan is on Monday night, pending you all are into it, is to start Job on Monday night. So everybody give me a go for it or whatever if that's all right with you. But that's my plan, is to start Job on Monday night and start working through his story. That study will be a little bit different than this one. This one here's been pretty focused. That one we'll have to cover a lot of ground every night. So we'll have to work on that. But so yeah, we'll plan on starting Job Monday night. Do it that way. So okay, if you're all good with that. So all right, cool. All righty then. All right, cool. You guys are doing emojis in here. How do you do emojis? How do you send an emoji? I don't know how to do that. Oh, how about you click the thing that says emojis here, Tim? Custom emojis. Oh, I'm going to do a food emoji. Maybe. I am not skilled at this emoji thing. Oh dear, did I just crash? Did I just crash trying to do an emoji? Wow, did I seriously just crash this trying to do an emoji? Actually, Eric, the one you just did was the one. That's what I got up here. That's what I got right there. So it crashed on my end. So I'm going to get out of this before I. What the heck is? Man, I should not have started this. All right, I'm out of that. Good. Yeah, I froze here for like a whole second. It was my face gone. So I'm glad y'all didn't have to put up with that. So cool. All right, let's. All right, let's go to Genesis 45 and see if we can do something better than me trying to send emojis to people. We see what, yeah, actually, that was the one that automatically came up, was the hand sanitizer. I don't know why, and I just did it, and I don't want to do that again. So, man, look at Bill. Bill's got he's got the thug emoji there. I like that one. So, Beth has the surprise one. Janet's doing some hand washing. Like to see that. So, all right, cool. All right, cool. All right, well, let's go to Genesis 45 and actually do some real content tonight, because I get these introductions. I get the horsing around too much. I know we covered some of this last night, but I want to review this because I think I skipped a couple of verses. So, hey, Judy Brown. And Amy also doing the thug emoji. And Doug, ice cream, cake, and cupcakes. Doug, I like your style, dude. So, all right, fabulous. All right, verse 1. Now remember, so the brothers came in after they had decided not to abandon Benjamin this time. They finally did the right thing. They're going to stand by their brother. They've had this experience, and now they're ready to be together. So Judah makes this. One of the brothers named Judah makes this desperate plea. Please, take me instead, whatever. Which none of them have ever said before. And then Joseph decides he could take it no longer. All right, so chapter 45, verse 1. Joseph could stand it no longer. There were many people in the room. He said to his attendants, "Out, all of you." So he was alone with his brothers when he told them who he was. Then they all broke down and wept. Again, I don't know how you respond gently to news like this. I mean, they're all just in the face of melting down. So they're all there. Apparently, okay, according to the way the Bible tells it here, verse 2, he hasn't told them yet. So he throws everybody out, all you Egyptians out. They all leave, and then he just starts weeping. And the brothers have to be going, does anybody know what's going on here? Does anybody know why he's upset? Because remember, this guy's been like yelling at him, been mean to him, threw him in jail. I mean, all kind of mean stuff. really just mean and cantankerous and whatever, and just really ripping them up and down. So he throws everybody out. So there's no bodyguards, nobody there. The 10 brothers are going, we could probably take this guy. And he starts crying. I can only imagine what the brothers, they got to be way out confused at this point as to everything they've witnessed with this guy who seems like a complete lunatic at this point. But he breaks down and weeps. And then he between the sobs, he says, "I am Joseph." The brothers were like, did he just say what I think he said? I don't know how you gracefully go through a moment like this. This is I don't even know what word to say. Shocked. I don't know that that's even gets there. Blown away. I don't know. I don't know what gets. I don't know what word I can use to communicate the just life-altering shock that this had to be. Because remember, the whole time he's been speaking to them through a translator, so they didn't even know if he can speak their language. See, he's not proven that to them yet or given them any indication that he could. But he says this, and then he says, "I am Joseph," he says to his brothers. "Is my father still alive?" His brothers are so dumbfounded by this, they can't even answer the question. It says, but his brothers were speechless. They were stunned to realize that Joseph was standing there in front of them. That's about as understated as you're ever going to find in your life. Because they thought that Joseph would have been long since dead. Or who knows what. After they sold him into slavery. But they were just flabbergasted to find out that this was Joseph. So they don't know what to say. He asked a question. None of them can get the words together to answer. Verse 4, "Please come closer," he said to them. So they came closer, and he said again, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into slavery in Egypt." Yeah, I remember that. But now, and this is the part where things start to just show what this journey has meant to Joseph. Okay? This is the part where Joseph decides what's going to happen. This is the moment when Joseph decides what the rest of his life is going to be like. This moment right here. Verse 5. But don't be upset. But don't be upset. You guys changed the entire trajectory of my entire life. You took me from everything that meant anything to me. You wrecked all the plans I had. You treated me like a piece of garbage. You sold me to these scoundrels. But don't be upset. And don't be angry with yourselves for selling me to this place. It was God who sent me here ahead of you to preserve your lives. Now, we don't have any way to answer this question I'm about to ask, but I want you to think about this with me. He said, I wouldn't have had any way to deal with this. He says, don't be angry with yourself. God is the one who sent me here. He sent me here. That's right, Amy. I'd have been pretty upset too. But God says Joseph says, God is the one who sent me here. Think about how long these guys have been blaming themselves for the dumb thing they did. How long has it been? Years? Decades? They've been carrying around the guilt and the shame. Now the guy they thought they sold at the river is saying, this was God's plan for me. I wish we could know what point in the story Joseph decided that. Because darn well, when he was down in the cistern, he hadn't decided that. When they pulled him out and sold him to the slave traders, I'm sure he didn't decide that. When the slave traders, though, sold him to Potiphar, maybe then, or somewhere along the way. But whatever happened to Joseph between getting sold to the slave traders and ending up in Potiphar's house. Again, we talked about what a transition that must have been, because he went from a spoiled rich kid to somebody who really showed himself to be worthy. He allowed that to happen, and he worked on that. So somewhere in that process, Joseph decided that this is God's plan for me, so here I am. And again, the famine was years in the making. This wasn't like they sold Joseph into slavery and 3 days later he's in Egypt preparing for the famine. This was a process. And you got it. I mean, we as readers of Joseph's fantastic story, we have to be able to appreciate the fact that he was able to say, God brought me here. The only time we ever heard him in this story say anything similar to that was when he was talking to, I think it was the bartender and the baker, but it may have been Pharaoh, maybe been both. When they began to interpret dreams, they both said, or Joseph said to them, God interprets dreams. But go ahead and tell me what it was. Yeah, oh sure, Teresa. Hindsight's always 20/20. But the idea here is that Joseph came to a point to say, this is where God wants me. Friends, this interaction here is the point of the story. Joseph is a great story. Honestly, one of the Bible's greatest stories. Look, and I'm going to say that about Job. I'm going to say that about Martha. I'm going to say about anybody else we're going to study, okay? Because I love all of them. But Joseph is really one of the Bible's great stories, because at the end of the day, it is about Joseph saying, this is where God wants me to be. And if you want to experience meaning in life, that's the decision you have to make. You have to decide, no matter how much I may hate where I'm standing, this is where God wants me to be, and I'm not going to do anything to move from this spot unless God desires that. Bill asks, I wonder if Joseph was expecting his brothers to come as a result of the famine. I would think so. I mean, he didn't know for certain, because he didn't know what happened to them. For all he knew, they may already be dead. He had no way to know what happened to them. But I think he probably in the back of his mind had it as a possibility, as he started to see people from farther and farther away from Egypt coming in to buy food. He knew eventually the brothers, well, some representative of the brothers were going to show up. So that part, probably so. In fact, as we kind of walk through what Joseph had done, what do I say? I'm about to say what Joseph had done to them. I don't know if that's what I mean to say. But this intricate plan of, bringing them in and then put them in jail and all this stuff, it does give the appearance of forethought. So, Bill, he may have been working this plan out for a long time. I think there's plenty of room to make that judgment, that he knew it was a matter of time before his brother showed up. So, all right. But now that he's got them here, and now that they were, hey, Val, welcome. Now that they were willing to make a sacrifice, to say, take me instead of Benjamin, which, again, we've seen the brothers show no inclination to that at all. Now that they were willing to do that, Joseph lets the proverbial cat out of the bag, and he says, God sent me here to save you. Yeah, I saved a whole bunch of other people in the process, but I'm here to preserve your lives. The very people who sent him on this just terrible journey, the whole time I was doing this, I had you in mind. Saving you is what I wanted. And now that I'm here, I see that this is what God wanted the whole time also. Man, that is powerful stuff, my friends. That is powerful stuff, because he could have said, God sent me here, and now y'all going in the lion's den or whatever. I mean, he could have done anything like that, but he doesn't. He realizes his quest was to come there and to save his family and to save the world in the known world in the process. Hey, Jack and Cheryl. Yeah, the connection here is a little wonky on this side too, Cheryl. So I don't know what's going on. I'm having some lagging issues here too. So yes, Teresa, this is great forgiveness, magnificent forgiveness on behalf of Joseph. But it's also a recognition of the power of God's plan. And we kind of talked about that, and when we were back talking about dangerous prayers. What's your this? THIS. Through him I succeed. And we talked about that with the dangerous prayers about, I'm going to do this in remembrance of him, and how important that was to the people who gathered. So what was Joseph's this? Canceling a famine. And that's essentially what he's going to do. So God sent me here to preserve your lives. Had you not done what you did, God wouldn't be able to do through me what he's doing now. And that is how a man talks right there. That's man talk. So, okay. So, verse 6. This famine has ravaged the land for 2 years and will last 5 more years, where there'll be neither plowing nor harvesting. Okay, so the famine is not over. Y'all going to live through it, but the famine's not over. So verse 7. God sent me ahead of you to keep you and your families alive and to preserve many survivors. There were undoubtedly, and I have gone to great pains to point them out to you. There have been plenty of moments along the way where Joseph's story is just gut-wrenching hard. I mean, it's just rough. And the things that happened to him were rough, and the way he was treated was rough. And just a lot of people working against him, from the brothers to possibly Potiphar, to Potiphar's wife, of course, to the bartender who forgot him, to all these people who just sold Joseph down the river. For Joseph to ultimately decide that all of this adversity and all of these bad things that happened, all were here so I could save those very people's lives. We're not going to be told this here, but not only did Joseph save the brothers, he also possibly saved the Ishmaelite traders. He also most certainly saved Potiphar's wife. He certainly saved the bartender. He certainly saved the guys in the prison. All these people who did him wrong, he's saving their lives along with everyone else's. Because famines don't care. They'll starve everyone. They don't care. And his job was to come along and he's not picking and choosing. Even his brothers who put him in this predicament, even they are having their lives saved. So Joseph is showing great forgiveness. That's true. Yeah, the baker, unfortunately, he couldn't save the baker, but that was kind of beyond his control. So, all right. Okay, verse 8. So it was God who sent me here, not you. And he is the one who made me an advisor to Pharaoh, the manager of his entire palace, and the governor of all Egypt. Okay? All glory to God. My friends, wherever you are in life, the best day or the worst day, say that. All glory to God. Because that's what Joseph is identifying here. Look, you all think that you did this to me, and all these people who kind of lined up against me think they did this to me. No, God did this for me. Because without that journey, I wouldn't be standing where I'm at today to save all these people or help all these people. Now, admittedly, Joseph's story is a tad on the dramatic side. I mean, most of us are not going to aspire to save the world from a worldwide famine like Joseph did. However, we all have been put in a place for a reason. And we've shown up at a certain time for a reason. And we've been a part of again, whatever it is we're a part of, for a reason. And it may be God's desire to use that to do great things. I mean, would God have gotten a different champion to take on the famine if Joseph had fallen? Well, probably, maybe. I don't know. We have no way to know that. But it certainly wouldn't have been Joseph if he didn't persevere and continue giving glory to God, which he did all the way through, which is another lesson of Joseph's story. Okay, so enough of this small talk. Verse 9. Now hurry back to my father and tell him, this is what your son Joseph says. And he doesn't add this here, but I'm going to put this in for dramatic sake. Make sure dad's sitting down when you tell him this, because he's going to be just as shocked as you. So, now hurry back to my father and tell him, this is what your son Joseph says. God has made me master over all the land of Egypt. So come down to me immediately. Invitation. So Joseph's giving here. Invite him down. Please bring him here. No more buying food from me. You guys are going to be taken care of. Oh, Eric, you want to talk about a transformed life? I defy you to find a better example of a transformed person. I mean, maybe the Apostle Paul, who went from murderer to missionary. I mean, that's a pretty dramatic change too. But, I mean, Joseph is right up there as far as people who were transformed. So, yeah, quite a transformation. And if you think about the hardships that Joseph had went through, it's amazing. It really is. It really is amazing that Joseph was able to come that far. But the only reason he got there is because he never lost sight of what was going on, which for a spoiled rich kid is pretty incredible. Okay. Verse 10. You can live in the region of Goshen, where you can be near me with all your children and grandchildren, your flocks, your herds, and everything you own. All right, you ready for a big verse? Listen to this verse. Speaking to the people who started him on this horrible journey to lead him where he was. Verse 11. I will take care of you there. I will take care of you there in Goshen, your own place. I will take care of you there. You want to know how you put abandonment and disappointment and pain and suffering behind me? You say that phrase. I will take care of you there. I will show you how far I came based on the journey you started me on. That gives me chills to think about. I mean, Joseph really came a long way, and really it's just an amazing transformation. I will take care of you there, for there are still 5 years of famine ahead of us. Otherwise, you, your household, and your animals will starve. All right. I mean, I don't even know what to say about it. It's beautiful. It really is a beautiful statement. What Joseph does here is beautiful. It is wonderful. And then Joseph added, look, you can see for yourselves, and so can my brother Benjamin. I really am Joseph. You know what he did here? He took the Egyptian headpiece off. He wiped off whatever he had on his face, took off whatever jewelry he may have been wearing, and stood next to Benjamin. And they're all like, oh, my word, they look like each other, just like brothers tend to do. So I'm not joking you guys around, okay? Look at Benjamin, look at me, tell me we don't have the same parents. And all the brothers are there going, I still can't believe what we're seeing, and I'm sure they couldn't. Okay. Now, okay, I think I've driven this point into the ground firm enough. I think you guys got it. What Joseph does here is just wonderful. And now the little portion I want to talk about here, the next verse, a couple of verses here. I want to talk about the awkward journey of coming of age. This is something that our culture is just abysmally horrible, terrible at. Terrible, just terrible at. We don't have anything anymore that resembles a rite of passage or an entrance into adulthood or kind of manhood kind of stuff. We don't do any of that. And that's really too bad, because look at how important that is for Joseph. Remember who he was the last time his father laid eyes on him. He was a spoiled rich kid. He was beloved, and he was 17, and he was treated like he was 4. So Joseph was basically an adult-sized child. And again, as all sons want to do, he wanted to prove himself to his father, which is, again, what all sons want to do. So in everything that he said, look what his concern is here. Verse 13, go tell my father of my honored position here in Egypt. Go tell dad I made it. I made it. You know, I've risen higher than anyone ever thought I could. What does he want here? He wants his dad's blessing, and obviously he's going to get it. But that's what he's looking for here. And even Joseph, who has, you know, been on this incredible journey, gone through all this way, and now has the people of Egypt and all the surrounding nations of people and whatever singing his praises, knowing they are alive because of him. They're going to live, because the famine's only 2 years old. 2 years is a long time, but they're not even halfway through it yet. So it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So Joseph is an honored person. And what does he want? He wants the approval of his dad. And I'm telling you what, there are a few things in life that are going to be more important to especially sons, but all kids, than that. And we're going to, I mean, you want a preview for tomorrow's sermon? That's our topic right there. So that's what that's what Joseph wants them to tell his father. You know, as soon as you tell him I'm still alive, don't say I've been living under a rock out in the desert for 30 years. Tell dad I am the number one guy in Egypt. Only Pharaoh is above me. I made it. And because he wants to be honored by his dad. And again, he's certainly going to get that. Let's see. Verse 13. Go tell my father of my honored position here in Egypt. Describe for him everything you have seen, and then bring my father here quickly. And I'll add this so I can show him. Let me show him how far I came. Let me show him what that poor rich kid that we all knew I was. Gosh, I was a little punk. Let me show him how far I've come, how far I've made it. And that's a big thing. And now remember, the other brothers knew Joseph in this previous life. Okay, the 10 older brothers knew Joseph, obviously. But Benjamin never met him. Now, I heard a lot of stories about him, never met him. Verse 14. Weeping with joy, Joseph embraced Benjamin, and Benjamin did the same. For this guy I've only heard about. And again, I doubt I'd heard the whole story about how he got here. So all of a sudden, Benjamin's like, you guys sold him to slave traders? I mean, maybe I'm going to stay here with my brother, not go with you, whatever. But he had heard all these things, and I'm sure not heard the whole story. And but Joseph and Benjamin recognized each other as brothers, and they embraced as brothers. All right. Then Joseph kissed each of his brothers and wept over them. And he began talking freely with him. No more interpreters, no more pretense, no more goofiness. We're done with that. Now, as you can imagine, Joseph being a fairly prestigious and prominent person in Egyptian culture at this time, word quickly went back to Pharaoh that, Pharaoh, something amazing is happening here. They had put together, again, because they all knew that Joseph was an Egyptian. At least they knew that, even though he had been kind of merged into Egyptian culture. They knew he wasn't a natural-born Egyptian. So they knew now, based on the conversations that they were hearing and how they were listening at the door, they knew now what was going on. This was Joseph's family. So, as you can imagine, verse 16, the news soon reached Pharaoh's palace. Joseph's brothers have arrived. Let's see here. Pharaoh and his officials were delighted to hear this. Delighted to hear this. What does that tell you? I know we haven't had any interaction in chat, so I'm going to make you guys answer a question. What does that tell you? That Pharaoh was delighted. First of all, what does it tell you that Pharaoh cared at all? And second of all, what does it tell you that Pharaoh wasn't like, Hebrew, really? Ugh, we don't even like those guys. We don't eat at the same table with them. No racism, no judgment, no concern. The word the Bible tells us is delighted. What does that tell us? Why was Pharaoh delighted to hear this? Bam, Bill, you got it. Joseph was clearly loved by Pharaoh and his officials, and so was everyone else. How do we know that? Because they'd have been dead without him. I mean, you want to talk about endearing yourself to somebody? How about you save their lives? That's a great way to endear yourself to somebody. You know, Pharaoh looked up to Joseph and respected him, Suze. Absolutely. Yeah, again, Teresa, respect. Tim says he was happy for Joseph. Of course he was. It tells us that Pharaoh liked him. Pharaoh had great respect and affection. Affection was the word I was going to use, Linda. Affection for Joseph. You know, this makes Pharaoh happy because he's happy for Joseph. Pharaoh knows what kind of man Joseph is. And he's very happy that his family's now around him. Pharaoh probably recognizes, again, remember, he's Pharaoh's son-in-law. So, or I'm sorry, not son-in-law. He married somebody else's daughter, but he married somebody high up in the court. So he knew Joseph very well. And for him to see Joseph be, let's say, honored in this way, would have been very important to him. So Pharaoh comes over to now meet the brothers and see what's going on. So verse 17, Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Tell your brothers." Okay, so this is now Pharaoh speaking to Joseph after Pharaoh finds out what's going on. "Load your pack animals and hurry back to the land of Canaan. Get your father and all your families and return here to me." Now this is Pharaoh talking. Joseph already said, "I'm going to put you guys in the land of Goshen and take care of you." And Pharaoh comes down and says, "You think Joseph did a good job? Dude, let me show who the man is here." And Pharaoh says, "Whatever Joseph gave you, you're going to get more." And that's just how it is, because we're going to honor this man's family, considering the fact we'd all be dead without him. So, verse 18, "Then get your father and all your families and return here to me. I will give you the very best land in Egypt, and you will eat from the very best the land produces." Land's not producing much, but Pharaoh pretty much set aside, the first portion of whatever they're using for Joseph's family. And, what an honor. Oh, my word, what an honor. Linda, I don't know. I forget what his wife's name is. I know she's not been mentioned much. I'm assuming so, but we're not told that his wife came to meet the brothers. Again, I'm assuming she did at some point, because we're going to find out, not tonight, but we're going to find out later, that obviously his two sons come and meet Jacob. I'm forgetting everybody's name. Come and meet Jacob. So I'm assuming if the sons were there, the wife was probably there too. I'm just guessing that. So, all right. So now the invitation to Joseph's brothers came from the number 2 guy in the kingdom. The first invitation, that was Joseph. The second invitation came from the number 1 guy in the nation. So, I mean, this is quickly just going real well for brothers all of a sudden. So they're going to get the number 1 of everything that's around. Verse 19. "Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, 'Tell your brothers, take wagons from the land of Egypt to carry your little children and your wives and bring your father here.'" Now this is great. Listen to this. Verse 20. "Don't worry about your personal belongings, for the best of the land of Egypt is yours." Don't worry about all that garbage you guys got. We got better stuff here. We're gonna give you all that too. I mean, you want to talk about winning the lottery. I mean, this is right up there. So Joseph sent Pharaoh sent the moving company to go get them and bring them all back. So they sent all the moving vans and whatever. I mean, you thought they were freaking out before when they came home and had just their money in their sacks. Now they're coming home with everything they got, plus all these wagons, and they're going to start loading things up and moving. And Joseph is, what a moment. Okay, so verse 21, again, in classic biblical understatement. So the sons of Joseph did as they were told. Okay, a few more details would have been nice. Did as they were told. Joseph provided them with wagons as Pharaoh had commanded, and he gave them supplies for the journey. He gave each of them new clothes, so they're going to go home decked out. And Benjamin got 5 changes of clothes and 300 pieces of silver. So little brother Benjamin, who's been spoiled by dad his whole life, now spoiled by older brother. I guess it's just how we do things in this family. You're right, Eric. This would have been a lot to comprehend for this family. A major life change in every way the word major life change can be defined. This is incredible. Because remember, I don't know what they have in the place where they live, but they're starving. They had to go to Egypt to get food, so they didn't have food to eat. And now they're going to go live in the best of the best. So this is quite a change. Verse 23. He also sent his father 5 male donkeys loaded with the finest products of Egypt, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain and bread and other supplies they would need on his journey. So basically, they opened up the storehouses and just started giving them stuff. So Joseph sent his brothers off, and as they left, he called after them. Now, listen to this. After everything that's happened, meeting with Pharaoh, promise of everything. This promise guaranteed by the man, which is Pharaoh. All these things that happened, all this blessing. Here's what Joseph says to them. So Joseph sent his brothers off, and as they left, he called after them, don't quarrel about this along the way. What's past is past. Man, you want to talk about a healing thing to say? You want to talk about an attitude that heals? Let's put it in the past. Our animosity, our fighting, our anger, all these things, let's leave it. It ain't worth it. I don't care about that stuff. We got too much celebrating to do. We got too much good stuff happening in the middle of this famine to worry about all that stuff. That is a statement made by a grown-up man. That is amazing. How much of a blessing could we be to people if we could say, in a situation, I understand none of us have ever been in a situation like this, but a situation similar to this, where there's been a lot of hurt, a lot of anger, a lot of betrayal, a lot of people not doing what they should do on all sides. Joseph was guilty. Certainly Jacob was guilty. The brothers were guilty. Honestly, the only person here who hasn't done anything wrong is Benjamin. That's only because he ain't old enough. So, everybody's in the wrong here. And Joseph is telling them, guys, let's just let it go. Let's enjoy where we are. Let's enjoy this blessing from God, and let's not ruin it by worrying about who did what to who. So, yes, it is godly growth, Val, absolutely. And Teresa, that's exactly what he's getting at, guys. Look, this is the way we used to handle things. This is the way things used to go. We used to fight and be immature and whatever. Oh, for goodness sake, let's not do that anymore. Let's just not do it. Let's just not do it. And that's an incredibly, that is an incredible display of maturity, because if anybody has a right to carry a grudge, holy cow, what about Joseph? He says it ain't worth it. And it's not worth the energy it takes up. I have my family back. What more can I possibly want? So, verse 25. And they left Egypt and returned to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan. Joseph is still alive, they told him. And then they had to give dad some smelling salts and pick him up and tell him again, right? So, Joseph is still alive, they told him. And he's the governor of the land of Egypt. Again, here's another example of classic biblical understatement. Joseph was stunned at the news. He couldn't believe it. I don't know how else you encapsulate the response, but it had to be, oh my word, are you kidding me? So Yeah, this would have been a lot to take in, as many other things along the way have been. But when they repeated to Jacob everything Joseph had told them, so Joseph's like, all right, guys, take it again from the top because I think I'm not hearing you right. So after they repeated everything Joseph had told them, and they're like, look, wagons, evidence, something crazy's going on here. I saw the wagons Joseph sent to carry him. Their father's spirit revived. Again, classic biblical understatement. Dad, I'm sure was elated. He was getting his son back. Look, his son was successful. I have no doubt that Jacob was proud of him. And I mean, as any father would be of their son, not to mention the fact that he has actually been very successful. But Jacob is just dumbfounded. And now he's like, how soon can we leave? How soon can we go? Uh, that's great. Eric, yes, I too would love wouldn't you guys like a YouTube video of this moment? I mean, you all have seen like those YouTube videos where like soldiers will come home and surprise their family or something like that. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, this would have been right in that vein, and this would have been something to see, no doubt about it. So, verse 28. Then Jacob exclaimed, "It must be true." And why would he say it must be true? Well, okay, the wagons and all the Egyptian helpers and he sent them to buy, enough food to get them through, and they come back with like, an entire Sam's Club along with them. So, okay, he's looking at all that saying, well, clearly something happened here. And he's going, these boys, they're ornery and they get themselves in trouble, but I just don't see them making up something like this. So this must be true. My son is alive, and I must go and see him before I die. Great story, huh? What do you guys think of the story, Joseph? I'm going to put a pin in it right there. We're going to come back to this tomorrow night, and I'm going to do a little reading because what we're going to do, I know there's 4 chapters in Genesis left, but I'm not really interested in going through all of it. We're going to kind of do a kind of a closing on Joseph tomorrow. But tell me, isn't this a great story? Isn't this a great story? And this is why I wanted to study it, because this is a great story. That's a little repetitive, but yeah, it is a beautiful story, Val, no doubt. Hope you guys are enjoying this and being a part of this because yeah, it's quite an emotional story. Yeah. Yeah, God is good all the time. Absolutely. So yeah, it's such a fantastic story of redemption, really. Redemption of the brothers, redemption of Joseph, redemption of the situation the father was in, redemption of just a lot of things. Yeah, it's a story of growth, Eric, no question. So yeah, it is a great story, and I hope you guys have been enjoying learning a little more about it. It's been fun to do Joseph in this format because obviously we have more time and opportunity to do more with it here than we would on Sunday morning. So, hey, Joyce, I haven't seen your name come up yet. Yeah, thank you, Tim. I'm glad you're enjoying my take on this. So, and Val, you can be more welcome. So, and we'll take a little time to we're gonna give Job the same once over. Now, his story might be a little more difficult than Joseph's, really, but yeah. Yeah, Bill, it's all about God's hand in things, even when you can't see it, and that's and look at all those emojis from Val. But Bill, it really is a story about how God can work through some really difficult moments in life. So, Judy and Alan Brown, you guys still in Florida? Judy, let me know. You guys come back yet? I'm just curious. So, thanks, Joyce. Yeah. So, it's been an interesting time. Thank you for humoring me and letting me do this story because I love this story. I love the story of Joseph. And welcome back to Ohio. You guys picked the right time to come back. You brought some nice weather with you too, Judy. I appreciate that. So, yeah, I really do love this story, and I just a lot of thanks, Miriam. There's just a lot of just application, beautiful things. So all right. Well, tomorrow, I don't want to give anything away, but I would like to take just a moment to talk about tomorrow. You all have gotten my text, emails, and such. Um, oh, thank you, Joyce. I really enjoy doing this. I look forward to this time all day. So tomorrow, we're going to transition a little bit tomorrow morning because we're talking about Ruth, another Old Testament hero. And we're going to be looking at Ruth and learning some lessons about, it is a story of redemption, Teresa, and that's exactly what it is, about how God redeems suffering. Because Joseph suffered quite a lot, and God redeemed that suffering by saving the world. So, yeah, very good. Oh, Judy, you guys have to quarantine for 14 days? Is that because you come back in the state? Yeah. So, all right. Well, very good. Thank you, Miriam. So tomorrow, we're going to be looking at the story of Ruth. Tomorrow, she's going to meet Boaz, and Boaz is going to, he's a major part of Ruth's story. Any of you who know the story of Ruth, he's a kin of Ruth's husband, Elimelech. And so that's, we're going to kind of look at Boaz and his example and how all that works together. Also during the sermon tomorrow, or actually after the sermon tomorrow, we're going to have a time of invitation. And the reason I sent out the email and text about being here tomorrow is because after the sermon, there's going to be a little explanation of just inviting people to stop by, kind of in the same format we did when people drove through, and I filmed them, even though we're not going to be running any cameras tomorrow. So if you guys want to run through Sunday right after Awaken, I'll be here until 1. Or if tomorrow doesn't work for whatever reason, I'll also be here Monday evening from 5:30 to 7, and give you guys the chance to drive through and see what's happening. So if it works out that you can come by, I'd love to pray with you, or you guys can drop off donations or food donations or whatever. That's kind of what the time is for. So that will be an opportunity that you have. Now, I do want to talk just a minute about the next Sunday. That will be Sunday, May the 3rd. I had conversation with Josh, and he and I have been in conversation all week about what we want to do on May the 3rd. We still want to respect all social distancing orders and things like that, but we think we're going to attempt a parking lot service for Awaken on May the 3rd. So we'll have, our plan is to have a premiere of First Light, just be no different than what we're doing tomorrow morning. So on May the 3rd, again, this is a week, tomorrow, everything's online. So don't show up tomorrow. But on May the 3rd, we'll have the premiere of First Light, which will happen, at 8:30 on May the 3rd. And then we will be setting up in the parking lot. And our plan is to have Awaken be live outside. So we're going to need a lot of help. I need a handful of people to help direct traffic, because we're going to have to, park people around and see if we can fit everyone in, knowing of our space limitations. So we're going to need some help with that. So if any of you are interested, you know how to get a hold of me, drop me a text or email me or whatever. But I would really appreciate your help for that. And again, if you shouldn't be out, don't be out. I know everybody's just dying to get out to go to something, and I completely understand that. But if you shouldn't be out, don't be out. Because my thought is we're probably going to end up recording the live stream, or recording the live service, and then uploading that to YouTube. So it won't be live on YouTube, but it will show up, sometime in the afternoon on that Sunday. So please keep that in prayer. We have a lot of things we need to go right to pull that off. No, do not bring your lawn chairs. You're not to get out of your car. You're going to park cars in there, and you're not getting out. So everybody's going to stay in their car, and that's how we're going to do this. So no lawn chairs. So if you want to bring some snacks and sit in your car and eat them, I'm totally cool with that. But no, you're going to stay in your cars. So we're going to park everybody in, and then pull everybody out, and kind of work from there. So anything you can do to cut down the number of cars, which means if you have 4 people in your family, please don't drive 4 cars, because we're going to need all the space we can get. Because given that this will be the first anything that's been planned in 6 weeks, I'm assuming our turnout might be pretty decent. So all this is still in the planning phases, and you're going to get a lot more details on that. But this makes me nervous. But I just look, we have to be able to make a stand. So we want to take this to the streets and have do all we can to keep people together. So. And because we all had too many sweatpants and Cheetos, right, Joe? So, okay, gosh, I missed it. For some reason, a whole bunch of chat things just showed up. Let's see here. Yes, it is the incarnation. Story of Joseph is the incarnation, Alan. And yes, prayers for good weather. All the prayers for good weather, and then more good prayers for good weather, because Mother Nature is going to be a big determining factor on whether we can pull this off. Well, Trina, you're welcome. Look, Wayne Street is such an awesome place, and I did not want us to lose the connection. So I'm doing the best I can to try to hold us together. Yes, Eric, thank you for the prayers. Thanks, Tim. And bring your friend's van. So, all right. Yeah, just you can wear your sweatpants, Audra. That's fine. I don't wear sweatpants ever, so that's fine. But if you guys want to bring your sweatpants and your Cheetos, you come knock yourself out. So under the portico. No, we're actually going to set up in the one-way street behind the church. We're going to set up right out in the street. We're working on. I believe, if I understand Josh correctly, he's working on the truck that we had for the parade. So those of you who saw us in the parade, we're working on that truck, so we can put it out there to be elevated, so we can get the band up where people can see them. And if there's room for me up there, I'll be up there too, or else I'll be on the ground. I don't know how that's going to work, but but that's what we're planning is. We're planning to park out there, and then we're going to park both. You all know where I'm sitting. When I point that way, I'm talking the parking lot nearest the sanctuary. The 2 parking lots, we're going to park them so that they're facing each other. So we can park. So the truck will actually be in the middle of the 2 sides parking lot facing each other. And then from there, we're going to park in the street. We're going to park in the one. We're going to clog the whole one way. Park everybody up. We're going to park possibly in the car dealership across the road, because I'm assuming on Sunday morning they're not going to be working. And then and then we're going to line the streets. And if all that doesn't accommodate us, then we'll park people in the other parking lot off of the other side of the building. I don't want to use that unless we have to, because you're not gonna be able to see anything from over there. So that's what we're looking at. Again, I'm putting this in God's hands, because this is a bigger thing than Tim can figure out in his head. But you know me, it's go big or go home. So in this case, literally. And I really feel like it's the church's place to be out there to tell our message, because of all the messages there are out there, ours is the most important. And I really would like the chance for us to be one of the first things to come back, rather than for us to come back, who knows, weeks or months after everything else comes back. And I feel like we need to be in front of that instead of behind it. But you all know me, pushing envelopes is my specialty, and that's what we're going to do. So thank you for your support. I hope you guys will stay behind me on this one. Pray for this because there's, again, a whole lot of moving parts that I have no way to control. But I'm praying that we can pull this off and have all the unforeseen, unknown details to come together how they're supposed to. So all your prayers would be deeply appreciated. And when you're here, you got to follow the rules, which means stay in your cars because we're still being safe, even though we're here. And Parker, my friend, that is the exact reason why we're pushing this. The Word of God is exactly what people need right now. And there are 34 of you who've been here tonight. We've been between in the mid 30s all night. People are still hungry for that, and by George, Wayne Street's going to give it to them. So that's what we're looking for, and I think that's what God's calling to us is. Is this a risk? Yep, it is, but it's a risk worth taking, if you ask me. So appreciate all your prayers on that. So anybody else got anything here tonight for the good of the order? Anything you want to say? I'm listening. I hear it raining outside. I was going to ride my bike down here, but I didn't. I drove the Beetle, and I'm kind of glad I did that now. So anybody else got anything else you want to say for good of the order? Walked 8.8 miles yesterday. Goodness gracious, Val. Yeah, thanks, Judy. Thanks for coming out. Well, my friends, I appreciate you all very much. Thank you all for what you're doing. Thanks for being here, for your support. I love you all very much. Enjoy yourself. Hope to see you all in the chat tomorrow at the premieres of one or both services. I hope you got the links. Looking forward to having you. And y'all know what you need to do now. Go wash your hands.